Yeah, he bought this, whatever it was he bought. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you.
Morning.
Hey, y'all.
Uncle Wilmer's here with us today as our guest, and Dennis is out playing Army, and Jerry was traveling somewhere, so that's why they're not here. And Shannon, God knows what he's doing.
You never know.
He's probably asleep. If he's smart, he's asleep.
If he's smart.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get started, I've got a little short video to show you, so I'll put that up here right quick. I don't know if the sound's coming. I don't think the sound's coming through. Is that jerky to you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
You get the idea, though.
Yep, you can see the back on track car.
And all that great scenery he's been doing.
Yeah, well.
Definitely looks good.
I was hoping it would come through there a lot smoother than that. There we go. Just had to get loaded up.
Like, that is a great shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these backdrops from Lark Products are really nice. Of course, they're photo backdrops. I don't have to paint them like Dennis is doing, but my hat's off to people that can paint their own backdrops. I just wasn't going to go that route. Anyway, okay. So let's stop that nonsense. If I can figure out how to do it.
Excellent job.
That's nice. Looks really good.
Anyway, I thought I'd show that because it wasn't long enough to do an actual, video on my channel. But I thought I'd show everybody here that, yeah, I got the BoxCar and I ran it through. And Shannon's going to be making some new ones sometime. I don't know exactly when. Whenever he gets a chance, I guess. But anyway, Steve, you want to go through the lineup? Can you see the chat?
Yeah, I can. We've got Almar, David DES Multimedia, Steve Anderson, John Tanzillo, John Grandpa Rails. We got Allison. Good morning, Allie. Rob T-Man. Let's see. I saw Bernard in here. Also saw, where is he? I'm going back to Randall Ellison. Did I miss anybody?
I have no
Rob
idea.
Tillman, T-Teeman, John Tenzolo. I think he did say John.
Got John.
I have to do this. Steve 87.
Oh, so anyway, you guys know we got
good morning,
Robert
everybody.
as our guest today.
Trainer man.
Hey, Roy.
Brian.
Okay, so anyway, we got Wilmer on the show today, and there was, like I was telling you just before we started, I've got a couple of questions that I've never heard from videos that he's been on or stuff he's been on. I'm sure it's been answered. But I just haven't caught him, and I can't see all the videos, so I thought I'd get him on here and ask him, how did you get started in model railroading, and when?
All honesty, probably about it's about 2015 I started.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, I had just a little Bachman set that I bought clear back in the 90s. And I'd pull out and put under the tree. I had some other stuff that when my kids were small, we'd put up on the kitchen table and play with, but really didn't get into it. Well, in 2015, I'd gotten sick and I lost my job. I was just sitting around the house going nuts. And my son come over, he had O-scale stuff at the time. He'd come over and he says, hey, Dad, you got an extra room up there. Why don't you start a train setup up there? It's something you probably always wanted to do, but just never did. And I'm like, I don't know. Well, he come over one day and had a whole bunch of wood in the back of his pickup truck, and he threw together at that time it was just a sheet of plywood, and we put some legs on it and set up the train. It was I still have it, Amtrak train I bought back in '99, DC set up. and away we went. And then how I started into YouTube, well, I was sitting here playing with the train one day. I thought, well, I'll film it. I said, well, what good's filming if I can't share it? So I wrote, put it on YouTube. And the rest is history.
Yeah, well, that's pretty close to how I started. Although I got started when I was a kid with them, and then had some in high school and stuff, and then put those away and got married and had kids, and of course, away went all that kind of stuff because you're doing all the kid stuff. But yeah, but then my son said, "Hey, why don't we do a railroad together?" Which is a misnomer because there's no "we" in this thing.
Well,
yeah,
yes.
he's building a kid or two, but that's about it. I'm doing the rest of it, but that's fine too.
Well, I'd say probably 75% of what I got back there is because of my son. I mean, he kept buying me stuff. He'd bring me down stuff. If I told him, I said, "Oh, I need to get track, but I'm going to have to save up some money." Track was here. Yeah, I needed turnouts. He brought it. I needed some more trains. He'd bring it.
Yeah.
And finally, one day, he said, "That's enough of the train stuff. It's getting a little expensive."
I think everybody wants to hear you say "not bad."
Not bad.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not bad at all.
Not bad at all. No, sir.
I wish people were bringing me stuff. I don't get that kind of service.
But no, my son is awesome for that, doing that kind of stuff for me. And the train that's running back here now, my good friend that I've been helping him do some things down at his place. He has a real nice layout. I've done a few videos down there from David Garlick, and I go down there once a month. We do ops on his layout. He got a layout that's half his basement, and he called me down to his house a week or two ago, and he pulled out this engine that's back here. He says, "I bought a bunch of these at a train show." He says, take your pick. I'll give you one. I'm like, "Why would you do that?" He said, "Just because." And he said, "Here, and we'll put a decoder in it because it's DC." And he said, "I'll walk you through it." And I did my first decoder install on this engine. And there it is running on my layout. So it's a Alco S1. And it's a Proto 2000 that I put a Digitrax, just a basic Digitrax decoder in it.
I think that's one of the best things about the model railroad community, and YouTube is has really helped. That is people, meeting people and the stuff that people do for each other.
Oh,
It's
I have another engine that Sparky sent me one time a few years back. It's out of clear blue. I have no idea why he did that, but I got it put away right now.
Wow.
It's a 911 engine, and I had somebody that just watches my videos sent me a Walther's F, A, and B unit, Pennsylvania Railroad. No, to this day, I have no idea who sent it to me. They just sent it to me.
Wow.
yeah.
And that kind of stuff just, makes you just warm all over, I don't know. I don't know what I've done to deserve that, so.
Yeah.
How'd you manage to get a house next to a railroad? That's pretty cool. You can
It
rail
was
fence
just
from your
dumb
front
luck.
porch.
It was just dumb luck. Back in early 2000s, I moved here. It was 2008. I moved in here. I rent the place, and just happened that's where the tracks are. Right now, they're expanding. They're putting another whole line in down through here. They must be really busy, the Southwest Pennsylvania Railroad. So they're up the ways a little bit. They're putting switches in and all kind of stuff. over into the other town, which is just across the creek up here, which is less a couple hundred feet. The other town, they put 2 more lines in. So,
How much traffic does that line see that goes by your house?
oh, that line right down behind. How much traffic? They're through here. I'm almost every hour. You see something.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It didn't used to be that way. When I first moved here, it was like maybe 2 or 3 times a day. They're almost every hour through here now.
Wow.
And also the Wheeling and Pittsburgh. Yeah, Wheeling, is it Wheeling and Pittsburgh? Yeah. Well, no, Wheeling and Lake Erie. Wheeling and Lake Erie's been using this line here from time to time too. And every once in a while, you'll see something go through here. Like I had one day, I had a couple Union Pacifics go through here, a couple BNSFs. I got film on a lot of them that I've seen come through here.
Wow.
But sometimes the bigger stuff that come through here just to use, I guess, a shortcut. I don't know. But,
Well, I was watching a video just the other day. I sent it to Steve. I don't know if Steve's seen it yet. He was a yard master with BNSF, and he's evidently pretty high up on the totem pole. But he was giving testimony to some board. I don't know if it was Congress or if it was
Surface Transportation Board.
Is that who it was? But he was talking about why some of the delays and some of the shipping's going on. It's because the bigwigs want to make these 3-mile long trains that won't fit in the yard and they won't fit in the sidings. And he said it takes 3 tracks in a yard to make up one of those trains. He said, and by the time you get it put together, nobody else can come in or out while you're doing that.
Exactly.
And he said what their turnaround used to be on coal trains. He said it used to be 2 to 4 hours. Now it's 24 to 48 hours because of the way they're doing it.
Well, see, what started that is the distributed power. Once they did that, they can run infinite amounts of trains now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're running 15,000 foot trains on the UP.
Yeah.
And that's insane. The railroad can't handle that.
Well,
And
did you watch the video, Steve?
No, not yet.
He was talking about, and I'm not sure where this bridge is, but there was some bridge, and I'm assuming it was over a river, but it had a walkway, pedestrian walkway below it. And 3 times in the last 3 years, they've had trains derail on that were just sitting there because the train is so heavy, and they're stopped on the bridge, and the bridge bows, and the trains come off. He said, can you imagine somebody walking on that walkway there when a boxcar comes flying by you?
Well, see, they're still doing this with 2-man crews.
Yeah.
And you pull an air hose or something, and you got the conductor walking. You know, if he's got to walk to the end of the train, he's going to end up walking 6 miles.
Yeah.
And that train's going to be stopped there for hours.
Yeah.
That's
part of the shipping delays that we're getting now. Is that which I wouldn't have thought of until I saw that video. But yeah, he was saying it's silly to be doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could go back to the way they were doing it, and they'd be making more money actually than the way they're doing it. But
well, I know these guys down here that are down by my place here. Most of the freight that comes through here is for the fracking industry. There's a lot of sand hoppers coming through, pipe, gondolas loaded with pipe. And then I don't know what else. There's a, not far from here is a big warehouse facility up there. And I know they haul up to there. You'll see a bunch of box cars, and there's these funny looking containers, which I figured out they're hauling some kind of waste. So I don't know where it's coming from, but
yeah, we get a lot of coal trains through here. If you're lucky enough to see one of them, they don't really come through town. They go through the east side of town. But if you're out just northeast of here, actually just a few miles from where I live, sometimes you'll see coal hopper trains coming through loaded to the gills and long trains.
If you go maybe 4 or 5 miles south of here, follow the tracks down 4 or 5 miles south, it connects into the CSX tracks, which goes into Connellsville, which is there's a big yard down there. You'll see coal trains blowing through there, and you'll see Amtrak comes down through there too. They're pretty wild to watch them come through because I'm used to watching these guys creep through maybe about 10, 15 mile an hour. And you go down there and you watch them go, so, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We don't get any passenger trains here. I think they've got one that goes to Oklahoma City, but they haven't gotten up here. And they've been talking about it for years to get one between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Right. And they just never have done it.
Right. Well, CSX stops right where the old B&O, they tore down the old B&O passenger stop, which was a big, beautiful train station. And they put this little shanty for CSX with a nice cobblestone walkway and a couple park benches. And that's the Amtrak stop.
Like a bus stop.
Yeah. It's a shame they tore that beautiful station down.
I remember the old train stations. I got to ride to Santa Fe from LA to Fort Worth. And yeah, the one in Fort Worth and the one in LA were both nice back in the day. But yeah, too bad all that's gone. That was that was a fun way to travel.
There's a couple places still in Connellsville that they preserved, that they ain't by the railroad tracks anymore. They tore out all the tracks that used to go to them. One's the PL&E station, and the old Pennsylvania Railroad station still down there. And it was just a freight station, Pennsylvania Railroad one. For passengers, they merged. They didn't merge, but they used the same station was with PL&E. And the PL&E one, they just restored it. I have to go down there and I'm going to go down and take film down there one day and just go through the inside and take film and make a little video out of it. The outside's awesome. I look at it and it's like, wow, this is great. I wish I could live back in them times,
Yeah, part of the old Tulsa Frisco station is still downtown. Of course, they've repurposed it into something else. But John Tanzillo has one on his layout, a model of that depot on his layout. And I think I mentioned this before. He's doing the railings on the bridges going over the tracks. And when I saw that video that he had done, I told him, I said, he nailed it perfect. That's exactly what they look like. But yeah, they repurposed that building, but the building's still there. It's just not from the outside visually stunning by any means. It's just a regular masonry building. But anyway,
nobody's got any questions for Uncle Wilmer. Come on, guys.
They all know me.
Yeah. Oh, they've always got to ask a question, though. I mean,
I won't ask Wilmer a question, but I've got an observation. Earlier you were talking about you didn't know why people would send you stuff. Well, Wilmer, you are an emissary for the hobby. You are a positive influence on so many people, and you showcased so many folks on your show. That's why people send stuff to you.
Yeah. Well, I had to stop the show. It got to the point where it was overtaking my life.
Yeah.
And that's
I understand.
To do that show weekly, you have to watch a lot of videos. That's all I can tell you. And it takes time. You got to watch a lot of videos.
Yeah.
And you got to do a little bit of research to find new people that you haven't seen. And it just got to the point where I wasn't getting stuff done on my layout. I wasn't getting things done around the house. I had to stop. I had to. And I have people ask me all the time, when are you going to start Not Bad Up? It's probably not going to happen. Just because I got too many things to do. and time's running out. You know, to see this gray stuff.
Yep.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed doing that and discovering so many people, and the whole thing while I was doing it, I never did a negative review on anybody. If I didn't like your video, you just didn't get mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
I didn't do no negative stuff, and I enjoyed it, and I made a lot of friends. But to do anything special, anybody could do that. All you have to do is let it hog up your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing online stuff takes some time. Even if you're just doing videos of your own layout, you got to take the video, but then you've got to sit down for an hour or better and edit and get it where you want it. It's hard to do a video where it's just, you know, you go in with the camera and you walk through one time and don't have to edit.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got so good at that. I do a video now. I'll film the stuff. I put it all together on my editing software. I'll go through it one time, do the whole editing and everything within, depending on how big of a video it is. If it's a regular 10-minute video, half hour I can have it up and loaded.
Yeah.
But that's just because it was lots of practice doing not bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The more you do it, the easier the editing gets, but it still takes time to do it.
Right.
You just don't realize.
I don't mind doing on my layout and stuff because that's why I got into the hobby, was to do my layout. It wasn't to shout out everybody and everything, although that was fun, like I said. And I had, like I said, I had a lot of fun doing it. It's just, it got to the point where that's all I was doing. I'd get up in the morning, start watching videos, and I'd watch videos all day long. And my wife was like, are you going to do this? Are you going to get, I got to see this video. No, I got to go. And then my layout started collecting dust. And I'm like, wait a minute here. So.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Anderson had a question earlier for you, Wilmer. Are you planning on staying there for a while, or are you pretty set? Or
well, we got I got a new landlord. They bought the house, and I'm going to probably be here for at least another year. So, but eventually, I'm probably going to have to move. It's just he raised my rent, which I haven't had a rent raise in 14 years that I lived here. You know, so I kind of seen it coming, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I might be here a lot longer. I know I'm gonna be here for at least another year.
Jason says he hears an echo. I don't hear it, Jason, so.
I don't hear it.
Anyway, yeah, go back to painting, Jason. He's painting his house.
Roy
I
says
happened to be on
it's
his
in your
live
head
stream
anyway.
last night. He's going to be painting his house.
Well, when you know, I get on here and the neighbor's mowing the grass, and he's got the loudest lawnmower in the world. And it's pretty hot here already today, which is unbelievable for this time of year for here. It's supposed to hit 90 here today, which is unheard of for this area this time of year. I got the air conditioning going already, and I'm still sweating.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's going to cool off. We just had a storm come through last night, so it'll get to you here for too long, and it'll cool off again.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to cool down tomorrow. It's supposed to start out hot and then cool down, and then on Monday it's supposed to only be in the 60s.
Yeah, that's what we're in right now.
Yeah,
and we've been up close to 90 all week.
It's been cold here. It was freezing ass cold yesterday morning.
Yeah,
Literally.
I don't call it. 50s and 60s cold. I call that comfortable.
You can go outside and you can do stuff when it's that temperature. Like
Right,
here, it was
right.
95 today, and then that same storm, like Monday, I think it's like 70, and then like 67 the next day on Tuesday or something. Just roller coaster weather.
Right, right. And that's why it's been through the winter. You get days that get nice and warm, and then all of a sudden, boom, we got 2 days later, you have a foot of snow,
We've been having high winds for the last 3 weeks or so. About 2 days of high wind, then it'll calm down for a day or so, and then it'll come back again. In fact, yesterday it was about 40 miles an hour steady, and they got the Goodyear Blimp down at the PGA tournament here on the south end of town, and I bet they had fun with that yesterday. With that kind of wind. Yeah. I don't know if they flew it or not. I haven't been watching the tournament, but I know they had it up Thursday, but I don't know if they had it up yesterday or not.
Hey, Bill, how many trees did you get built?
21. I don't know if you they're all sitting right there. They're all ready for the next step.
There you go.
Well, what have you done since you last update?
Last time we had on here, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I know we were talking a while back, taking the layout apart. So I did take it apart and I put it back together again already. So that's going to be on a video coming out after this show. But I put fascia on.
Make him bigger, Claude, so we can see him.
Yeah, so I'll start over here. Here's the trees that I built. So 21, do about 3 or 4 a day. And these I'll get finished probably this afternoon and put on the layout. Over here, I did fascia. So for putting the fascia on, I actually took the layout apart. So that side got pushed away, and over here, and the next video will show everything opened up. It took about less than 5 minutes to take it apart. And then once I got the work done that I was doing, it took about the same amount to put it back together again and run some trains. No issues. It came apart perfect.
Wow. Cool.
This area over here, little area, this is like a series of 2 videos that'll be coming out later next week on how to. I've been having people ask me how I do my scenery. So a little tutorial on just slapping the sculpted mold, plaster, carving, and then another video on staining, and then another video just doing the ground cover and detail work. Then over here on some of the earlier videos, but released after I think the last shows, again, rock strata, did a lot of carving and staining.
I love that part, Bill.
Yeah, this turned out well. I like watching trains run on the lower track across this face here.
I like how you blended in with the bluffs on the top where the rocks come through.
You can see how sort of an alignment here where we got the flat irons, kind of smaller ones, but they're all a continuation here. More over in here as well. Then let me kind of squeeze my butt through this, kind of tight. I need a bigger garage. And then even though I had this on an earlier video, I don't think I hadn't had this done, last time we had the show and we were looking at it. So this, and then on the next video that's coming out today, you'll see, this came apart really, really well. No damage, no issues getting everything put back together with nice alignment. Put a little bit more scenery in here to start blending between, this table and that table. Still got to do work on the inside. I am going to make like a liner that goes back at least maybe 6 to 10 inches to kind of hide that track, or not hide the track, but kind of hide the open bench work behind it. Another little project for later. And then last thing that I'm still working on is I'm making baby pine trees. So I don't know if you can see this well, but just like one stick of that grapevine wire, toothpick on, the same method using the heat shrink tubing. That way I can make some real small pine trees that, as opposed to the giant ones there. So I can have some of these in some of the near scenes. So that'll be what some of this is going to be used for. I'll paint these with glue, roll them into the Woodland Scenics ground cover, and that'll hide them, and then build them and paint them and do the same thing like I do with the rest of the trunks. But I've still got like 16 trees to make out of that batch of 34 stems that I made here a few weeks ago. So takes a while, but you do get a lot of trees for your effort.
Oh, they look great.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to.
Looks amazing, baby.
It does. It looks really good.
Thank you.
I gotta say, Bill, I've been a fan of yours when all you had was your HO layout and you do the videos, and
Yeah.
you just totally amazed me when you showed your engine house that you had and you put a little interior in it and you had all this stuff. I was like, this guy's great. I got to like this guy more. You went on not bad that instantly, and I was like, wow.
You were the first one to really give me exposure. You know, I was on yours. You gave me some shout outs and some links. And then I think like a few weeks later, I was on Who's Big Bill Talking To. And then it just took off after that. But yeah, I love the hobby. You know, I'm not a professional modeler by any stretch of the imagination. Been in it for a long time, but mostly armchair for like 30 years. I just have fun doing it. If it doesn't work, I'll redo it. You know, and make
I haven't talked to
look
Bill
the way that my mind is.
I haven't talked to Big Bill lately, but every once in a while he would call me up and say, hey, got any guys out there that I can rustle up for? And I'd just give him a list. I'd say, here, how many do you want?
He did it to me.
Yeah, right.
And thank you for that, because it was a real pleasure talking to Bill.
Bill's a great guy. I've been on his show, I think, 3 times. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Every once in a while, he just call and we'll just talk.
Well, it turns out both of us were plumbers, and once he found that out, you know, we sat and talked for 2 hours about plumbing and what we did when we were younger, you know, in plumbing. And so it was kind of interesting to hear how he did work in New York City area.
I think everybody in New York worked for as a plumber sometime or another.
Yeah. It's
that Mario brother look. Yeah. You put one of these hats on him, he just look like Mario brother.
Yeah. Yeah, because I got a call from Bill, or an email from Bill, and it just, I mean, I was flabbergasted. I didn't even realize you had done a shout out for me on your show until after I heard from Bill, and he told me where he got my name from, and so I thank you for that. That was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it is. It was. Bill, he's a great interviewer.
Oh,
he really is.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's fun to talk to.
Yes, he is.
So, Steve, what have you been doing?
I was afraid you're going to ask.
Do you want me to show him the video? Well, so I don't know if I can show him the video that I had.
Oh, probably not. I don't know if you can or not.
I don't know if I can.
Speaking of plumbing, I'll show you. The camera.
Oh, I think I could show him.
All right. Well,
I don't know if the sound would come through is the only thing.
I've been plumbing. I did my first steam test yesterday. That's my spaghetti mess. But yeah, I did my first steam up yesterday and had, a few little issues. I had a little tiny leak up here in the steam dome that I think I corrected. I resealed it, put another gasket in it, and I'm going to test that. But I was just finishing up the test yesterday, and all of a sudden, just boom, this valve down here. This is the valve plug that I was telling you about, right down there. And this thing hadn't seated right. When Tim came by and we were messing around with it, we couldn't turn that valve very easy. And John had put some pipe dope on there or something. And when we put it back in, it wasn't seated all the way in. And when it got hot, it melted all that pipe dope. And that valve blew out. And I had steam everywhere. But Yeah, I finally got my silver soldering techniques down. I'm working on the bypass valves. That's this one right here and this guy right here, which I just put in this morning. Put this guy in yesterday, and it's a spaghetti mess that just tries to fit and run in between the whistle and run. It runs down to a T down here that I had to put in for you guys can't see it, the bypass. See, these pumps take water from the tender, run up through the pump, and then the pump is right down in here. And it's always going back and forth. And I thought this guy was a check valve, and it's not. So I wasn't pumping water up into the boiler. So I found out I had to put a bypass in. So I had to pull this pipe out, put in a T that runs back up to this valve right here. And so what happens is when you don't want to use the crosshead pumps, it'll pump the water back down through this line, down underneath to a T under here, and back into the water feed line. But I've got to put a check valve right in, now probably about right in here, to keep that pressure when this pump's running back and forth, to be able to pump water back into the boiler. But thank God my injector worked. That's this guy right here. And that was a success, because that was a big question mark on being able to get this thing fired up, because the water goes into the boiler right here through this little check valve. So the water from the tender runs up to this connection right here. The steam runs down and it mixes right here, and it creates a pressure great enough to overcome the pressure in the boiler. So the feed water to the boiler comes through this mess right here, which is kind of goofy because of this reverse lever, but it overcomes the pressure to get the water back into the boiler. But the whistle worked good, but it's just a matter of doing a couple more silver solderings. The brake valve works, but I've got a leak in the train line someplace, and these vacuum brakes have to have a complete airtight system for the brakes to work. And see, I've got hoses that between the fuel car and the caboose, and same way on the back of the tender. And that's not a big issue. I'm sure I can figure that out. But yeah, it's coming along. Pretty happy. Finally
Steve,
got it.
I need to say two things to you, Steve.
What's that?
First off, that is so cool. That is so cool, and it is definitely not bad. All right. The second thing I got to say is thanks a lot, buddy. You took my DCC install, made it really look rinky-dinky.
It did. It did.
And that's awesome. That is unbelievably beautiful.
And this guy, see if I can fit it on here one-handed. But yeah, the cab just fits right on there, and it gets a little cramped, but should be able to reach everything.
Now, how much weight do you think that will pull?
That's a good question. It all depends on the weight of the locomotive. The heavier it is, the more weight I have on the drivers.
Right. Kind of just like model railroading. If the locomotive's good and heavy, it'll pull good.
Yeah, it's gonna. Well, it's got to pull the caboose, the fuel car, my butt on that when I finally get the tender all finished up, and I've got a seat that fits on top of the fuel car, so somebody can ride on that. And it's got. Let's see if I can show you. I made some little foot pegs that pull out that you can stick your feet on. and they just slide back in there like that.
Hey, Steve, Bernard says smoke test the brake lines.
Smoke test.
Yeah, that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I could do that. Actually, what I'm thinking about doing is just pulling out the compression tees that I have for the lines and just get sweat fittings and just solder solid tees on the line. But
Yeah.
it's I got the windows pulled out because I didn't want them falling out, but I do like my little doors. And this guy just fits that water line. I mean, I could have made it if I'd have made that cab half an inch narrower or thinner. I'd have never got that line in. But trying to fit all this stuff in this cab has just been kind of a project.
Well, it looks really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Great.
I wish I could get that shot that you sent me of the steam up. I can't get it to go on, and I can't get it with sound anyway. Let's see here. Let me try one more time if I can figure it out.
But it's been consuming every minute of every spare hour that I have.
I would imagine.
But my trucks are being machined, and the guy promises me he's going to have them done by the triennial. So I may not get it painted, but at least I'll have the trucks on it.
It'll still look sharp, even unpainted.
That's right. It's beautiful.
Oh God, thank you. It's been a lot of work.
You can tell too. It's paying off. It looks great.
Well, it's a tribute to John, and I'm trying to do it right because he did everything on it right. So the caboose was kind of a weird afterthought. I had some spare time. I don't know if that was a good idea or not.
Well,
Okay, here we go.
make your train look complete as you're running.
Yeah. You know, the red caboose behind the train.
Let's see if I can get this to show now. Okay.
Yeah, I've got to do an update too, another one, because I should have actually the check valves. I got to put check valves in the water lines, but that should go pretty quickly. But it should be track ready really fast.
There's the video. The sound's not going to come through, but
That's good because the whistle didn't sound all that great anyway. It was really, really cold. And take that steam and multiply it by about 100, and that's what it was like when that valve blew out.
yeah, I would imagine.
That scared the crap out of me too. What blew up? But
Okay, Steve's got a question for you. Did the steam house paint kind of discolor? I think he means the dome, steam dome. So you can answer. You can answer that question.
what was the question?
What happened to the steam dome on the outside?
Oh, it's right here. It just comes right off.
I'll be right back. Nature's calling.
It blew straight up, and I caught it. I'm just teasing. No, Steve, that just slips down over the steam dome. But I got to trim some gasket material off for it to slide down there because it doesn't quite fit.
I thought he had burnt the paint off of it too. I thought, oh no.
It looked like it.
Yeah.
I couldn't really test the whistle because it was 5 a.m, and my wife would not have been very happy. But from what I did hear, it sounds pretty good.
It still was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Because I know just last week you were wondering if you were going to make it in time for the triennial.
I had my doubts. I really did.
Yeah.
Thank God the shippers that I needed were pretty Johnny on the spot, because I had to order another 10 feet of 3/16 tube, and that came yesterday. So I was able to start doing. And the silver soldering was another question mark, because my silver soldering skills are not that great, but I did a little bit of practicing and I fine tuned it. And they're not perfect, but they didn't leak. So that's that's
the important thing. Yeah.
And that's what I really wanted to find out yesterday, because I really wasn't planning on steaming it up, but I got to thinking night before last, I was laying in bed. It's like, you know what? I think I can fire this up enough to check what I've done so far to see if I've got any leaks. And that was really good morning to do that, because it was so cold. I could see every little pinhole leak if I had it. And so I had a couple fittings I needed to tighten up, but
Anderson wants to know, what pressure did you get to when you steamed up?
105. The one safety pops at 105 and one pops at 110. So the other one's basically a backup, because with this little boiler, once that first safety pops, the pressure stays at 105. But it steamed up really quick. I was really surprised. From cooking the hose up to fill up the boiler to when the safety popped was about 25 minutes. And it's only got probably maybe 2 gallons of water in it, so it boils really quick. So this thing gets up and running really fast.
Allie said, if it looks bad but works, it's not bad.
If it works, it's good. Well, see, the problem with this, it's got to look good too. Now, like with Tim's engine, it's all pretty much black, and it doesn't have to be really too pretty, but the plumbing had to match the locomotive. I had to make sure that it looked good too.
I'll bring you some flowers to put on the front.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some cigars. We'll have
that
a
blue and
baby
the brass mixing together, just fantastic.
Does look good.
I
Bernard,
was telling Claude this morning, running these pipes, it's like those old I don't know, the Chinese ring puzzles where you get all the metal together and you got to figure out how to get it. I'm running these lines and trying to fit it in, and it's like I got it in and I can't get it out. It's like, how did I get this in here?
Bernard wanted to know if you were running MAP gas or electric. He's running propane. Bernard.
Propane. Just standard propane.
And I think he's got more than enough burner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it'll run pretty long on one 5-gallon tank too.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, you'll find out here in a little while.
We're going to find out.
another month.
Oh, that's not true, Steve. Steve says, just saying, you're not really supposed to pop the safety valves. Oh, we pop them all the time on these things. All the time.
Yeah, Steve, I think it's a little different. I know what Steve's talking about. And like a water heater relief valve, you don't want to, which is basically the same kind of thing. You don't want to open those up. I've heard guys say, "Oh yeah, just open that up and it'll help you drain it out." No, you don't.
Well, with these, you actually have to pop the safeties to make sure they work. Yeah. I mean, if you're at 110 and safeties aren't popping, you got a problem.
Yeah. Years and years ago, I worked at a school district and took care of low pressure boilers. And even though you're not supposed to open the safety, the inspector said, you have to do your low water and see if it cuts off. You have to put it up, because otherwise you don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. But and on a water heater, if you got a water heater that's 10 years old and it's never been opened, it'll probably pop. Most likely will pop if it has to, because it's going to be, the tank's tested at 300. Your relief valve's only going to go to 150 at the most. Well, it'll probably go ahead and open if it needs to. But if you open it and it's been sitting there for 10 years, it's not going to seal.
Yeah.
And you'll have to replace it. So that's, you're better off just replacing it. If you think you have to on a household water heater, you just replace the valve.
Well, on these safeties, you've got there's a little adjustment on the top, a little set screw that you can set whatever pressure you want.
Yeah, they're more like a regulator than a regular safety valve. Most safety valves you can't adjust. They're set at a certain thing from the factory, and that's all you get. At least all the ones I ever dealt with.
And you can tell when it's about to pop because you'll get a lot of steam coming out of it before it actually pops. So
the one thing you never
when you're
do
out running, you can control the fire to keep that. You can keep the safeties from popping.
Yeah. Well, one thing you never do, especially on a residential water heater, is plug that safety valve. If it's leaking, replace it. Don't plug it off.
Well, see, and also we tried not to when we were pulling, the public down at the Medford Railroad Park with John's other engine. You didn't want the safeties popping in the station because it scares the crap out of the little kids. So you'd always keep the pressure down. I mean, you can control it. It's just a matter of the injector. Just put a little bit more water in it, and it'll cool it right off.
Yeah.
If you see it coming up where it's gonna pop, you can either turn the fire down or shoot some water in it and it won't pop.
Well, Riley's got a question for you. What kind of decoder did you use in your Proto 2000 S2?
It was a Digitrax DN136D is what I put in. It's just a basic decoder. Works the lights and the function. I wasn't ready to play with sound. That little engine I'd have had to cut, do all kind of things, and before you know it, it looked like something like Steve got there with all the.
Yeah, they can. Well,
It looked that bad when I started. I was like, "Oh, I'll never get this all in here," and I put it all together and taped it in, and I'm like, "Oh, now I'll just get the cover on." I got the cover on. The cover went down. I went. I'd taken it back off.
Well, it sounds really cool on a model train, but what you have to realize is you get 4 or 5 engines sitting on a track. Unless you go in and turn each one of them off, it's going to get pretty loud.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I like a sound decoder, but I'm more interested in playing with it, doing operations and just sitting there watching it. It don't have to have sound to watch it. I can sit here. It's so therapeutic. I can sit here and turn that on and just watch it go around in circles and just have a ball and think about all the things I need to do on my layout. Then I turn around and I go, well, time to get to work.
Yeah. Allie has another question. How do you find Digitrax for quality?
Well, I'll be all honest with you. I got no beef with it myself. As far as just a function, it was simple. And what I thought was really cool was in this Proto 2000, the color codes of the wires that were in there were the same as what was on the decoder. I mean, it made it so simple. And so I can't really say nothing. But if it had a plug-in that would actually plug right into to this, but there was no room after you plugged it in to put the cover back on. So I had to tear out what they put in and hardwire the decoder in. And
yeah, I found that on some of those 6-pin plugs or 8-pin plugs.
Right.
They've got the plug there on the board, but if you plug it in,
there ain't no room.
You got no place to put the decoder because
Right.
the lead's too short.
So anyhow,
I've got one. It's a Galloping Goose, and I was going to use an N-scale decoder in it, and it's DC ready. So I was going to plug it in, but for the plug to be facing the right direction, there's a resistor that sits right behind the plug, so you can't get the plug all the way in because the wires come off on that side.
But
it was like you can't even do it like that. I have to redo the plug completely to get it to work right.
It was a lot easier than I thought it would have been. I mean, it was time consuming because I'd never done it before. And I had Mr. Garlic sitting there saying, do this, do that. This is what you need to do now. Plus, I put LEDs in it, and the LEDs that I had didn't have resistors on, so I had to do up resistors on the LEDs and then try to make them fit in there. And but other than that, it was a pretty simple install. I'll be doing that.
Yeah.
Because those decoders aren't very expensive at all. And I have a whole lot of DC stuff. You know what I'm talking about, Bill. I got a lot of DC.
Yeah, that's like all of my HO is still all DC. I don't have a DCC HO scale for anything.
I got a fair amount of DCC stuff, but boy, I got some stuff that's DC. I got, I think, 2 big boys, which I can't even use on this layout because my turns are too tight. I got 2 cab forwards, a whole bunch of little steam engines that I just love to get out. I'm a big switcher fan. I love switchers. The little trains. I got a couple little steam switchers. I've got I've got a couple 44-ton switchers that I just love. That I'd love to put a decoder in and run around on my track. So.
Yeah, that's the fun thing, when you've got a switching layout, like again, my HO is totally a switching layout. You can do so much, and you don't have to have big, long trains for that. An engine, car, maybe a couple of cars, you can move some stuff around. It's enjoyable, and it makes you think. And then you grab your beverage later, and then you run, another train, maybe on another layout, and watch it loop around and have some fun with that.
Well, my whole idea was I have 2 lines, the basic lines. My outer line is my main line, and I figure I'd put a train on there and just let it go round, And then the inside line was going to be my switching line, which is my Indian Head Valley line, and I was going to switch. I like logging, so I was going to make a little logging layout, and I want to switch and take it from the sawmill to the processing place, and from the processing place to I got a building that I have to build yet for a barrel making place, and then I was going to make a little furniture outlet, just places for me to switch and do it with, and that's the plan. If I live long enough to see it all done, then it'll be done. I'm having a lot of fun putting all this stuff together and playing around with it.
Yeah,
that's the whole idea. You're gonna have fun.
Yeah, have a good time with it. Like I say, it's almost like the RC airplane building for me was. It's the same way. I like the building part of it enough, but then I like the camaraderie with everybody you meet in the hobby, and you have that commonality of doing, have the same kind of things that you're doing. So I really enjoy that and met so many nice people. It's unbelievable how easy it is to meet people on here that you really get along with and really enjoy. So
I probably wouldn't have made it as far as what I've made it without you two.
Yeah.
Because I've met so many people. I've watched videos that taught me so much. Taught me some stuff that I'd have probably never decided. For me to sit down and I like Model Railroad magazine, Model Railroader, Craftsman, but to sit down and actually and I read a few of those articles, but to sit down and read a how to do something is just like I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I can watch a video and I'll say, "Oh, that's how you do it. I see. Let me slow that down. Go back and look at it.
Go back and watch it again."
Yeah. And I and it helped out a lot. And then to have somebody, a good friend like Mr. Garlic, who he's been doing this since he was 11 years old. I don't know how old he is, but I know he's older than me. That's old. And teaching me the stuff that he knows, and working on his awesome layout and operating on his layout is just terrific. I was so lucky to run into him, And YouTube made that allowed because, but what happened was I went to the local club that's down here, and I was filming their layout for Not Bad. And I was filming the layout, and they had a train day coming up, which I never heard of train day before. And Mr. Garlic was there, and he was explaining to me, hey, you can come to my layout and this layout and that layout. So me and my son on train day started going around, and we went out and seen everybody's layout. And I asked Mr. Garlic all kind of questions. He was all happy to tell you. And then it was a couple weeks later, I went back to the Hobo Club, which is not far from there, and he was there again. And he says, hey, why don't you come down this night here to my place, and you can run trains on my layout. I was like, ooh, okay. And I was down there, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy, and he loves sharing the hobby with people. I've made a couple videos down there. He's not much for wanting to get on camera, but he's been doing this since he was 11. He still has the original engine that he started with.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an old, I think it's an old Tyco F unit, Santa Fe F unit. It's what he has. It's old. It's pretty cool. And he just puts it in the cupboard though. But it'll still run, he says. But everything's DCC now, and he had never converted it. So.
Yeah, I wish I'd had YouTube around when I had my layout in high school. I'd have gotten a lot further with it, I'm sure.
But I featured this layout a number of times on my channel, and always get a pretty good response. He uses cardboard instead of foam or wood because he has a respiratory problem and he can't have the dust. So he uses cardboard. He layers up the cardboard and makes little T stanchions and stuff. The only thing that's wood is the basic bench work. And then everything else goes from cardboard there. If you go in there, you probably wouldn't know it was cardboard until you see an area that he hadn't finished yet and see the cardboard in there. He said you could put a cement block on the cardboard and it'll hold it. So it really looks cool. It really looks cool.
I've seen some of those videos that you've done down there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. Really, really nice layout that he has.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, we're actually over our hour now.
Oh, so what?
It always,
on Track Tuesday.
Always goes by fast.
yeah, it always goes by fast. Unfortunately, I've got to get off. So
Yeah, I gotta go too.
but thanks for showing up, guys. And
Boot us out,
we had
Bill.
almost 30 people in here today. So yeah.
Thanks for coming, Wilmer.
Hey, no
Good to
problem.
see everybody.
I
Yes,
just wanted
Wilmer,
to
thank
get
you so much for being on today.
And anytime you come back again.
Yeah, I'll do it again for you guys. That's no problem.
We'll get you on. Yeah, we'll get you on again.
I just can't do like I did this morning. I woke up, I was down there having coffee with the wife, and I said, and I turned YouTube on, and I looked up, and it said, Trackside on track. Oh, I'm supposed to be on there this morning. Hurry up, run upstairs with my coffee.
There's times I do that, Wilmer.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it's Saturday. Wait a minute. Anyway, well, thanks for joining us. And Bill, take care.
Bill, later.
Yeah.
Thanks
Take care,
for
everybody.
some more years.
See you, Wilmer.
Steve, get the leaks fixed, man.
I will. We'll get her done. We'll get her done.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll see
Thanks
you
for
next
having me
time.
on.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.